Congratulations, we made it back for another episode. This is Live from the Living Room. I am JAYRICH, and today we have another special guest in the building. We have Dr. Sasha Mercedes. She's a therapist, she's an author, she works with comedy, she's a film producer, she's an actress. She's also the host of Power 108.9. AKA the Climax Sessions. Did I leave anything out?
I don't think
I ran the whole resume down for you.
I don't think you left anything out.
Super mom. She's a boy mom, raising two boys. How old are you boys?
14 and 15. I don't know why I always want to say 13.
Okay. Just turned 14 or something?
No, I don't know why I'm doing that. They're actually, their birthdays have been in June. So
they're both June babies?
They're 11 months apart.
Okay.
So do the math.
So, right. Okay. Same time. All right. Help me out because I'm a guy, so I'm a Neanderthal when it comes to certain things.
Okay.
All right. So you basically got pregnant in what month?
Oh God, I don't know. I got to do the math in my own head right now. I would have
Usually
to say,
women go on top of that.
No, because I went through so much during that time. I don't even know when it happened, why it happened. All that stuff. It was just too much going on. But I would have to say it probably was around the winter time.
Okay.
Like normal.
Cuffing season.
It had to
babies.
it had to be like October, November-ish probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, the Halloween costume got you.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Somebody went back for a second plate on Thanksgiving? What happened?
No. I think it was just being young.
Yeah.
Being very young. I mean, I was 18 when I got pregnant with my oldest son.
Okay.
And yeah, by 20 I had two.
So do you plan on having more? You shut it down? Or are you looking at me like that?
It's not a plan. It wasn't a plan with the first two.
No, I'm saying now, going forward.
And I would have to have a husband to even think about even having any more children.
Okay, so you hadn't necessarily shut it all the way down, just like you require a husband to think about it.
Yeah, to think about it. That's a good one, to think about it. You
Yeah.
heard the word think, right? Okay.
Strong emphasis on it, but it's, it's a real thing. It's a real thing. Tell me about the event that you were promoting last night.
Okay, so I work with a comedian that's from Nigeria.
Okay.
His name is Mr. Patrick. He has now started doing touring throughout the United States. His goal is to get more fan base here in the United States.
Okay.
And so I have gotten on his team as one of the promoters, and we do it at a club called 177 Lounge. It's right behind Old Lady Gang.
Okay.
And what he does is stand-up comedy. We also have open mic.
Okay.
Where people can come out and perform. It's on Wednesday nights.
Every Wednesday? Okay.
Every Wednesday nights.
Okay.
And I'm there, and with him having such a large following, it's really good for the people to come out and perform because I share the videos that I get with him, and he will post you on his page. He will promote you if you come out. So I think it's a great opportunity. Of course, it's no compensation for you coming out to perform, but it is networking. It is connections, great connections.
Do you think it's easier for a comedian to catch on, or a musician?
I think it's hard for both. Equally
I know it's hard for both.
And easier for a comedian?
I mean, it's kind of subjective. Like, was you talking about what type of success a person is going to have?
I don't know. I don't know if I could say which one would be easier to me. And now that I've been around both, I can see the struggle on both ends.
Who is harder to be around? Musicians, rappers, singers, or comedians?
I would honestly say the musicians. Some of the musicians, I think sometimes
too neurotic.
Sometimes when you get a little attention.
Okay.
You think because you got one song that you Jay-Z and Beyonce. Yeah. But you're not. You're still building just like anybody else. So it's just not. Sometimes people don't know how to maintain that humbleness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So.
Have you ever checked somebody?
Oh, I check people all the time.
You have to check anybody on air?
On the air.
Like, the little commercial break in between, you play the song, all right, we'll be right back with that for the Soon Smiles.
I actually haven't. I don't think I have, actually. I mean, I'm kind of one of those blunt people anyway, so I wouldn't care if we was on the air or not. Okay. But I don't recall having to have to check anybody. I think people, for the most part, respect the platform.
What has been your best interview?
My favorite interview was when I interviewed Vigilante. Shout out to him. He has a song with Dondria. I don't know if you're familiar with Dondria.
Singer from
probably, I don't know where she originally.
Okay, I know. Okay,
but I think she's from Texas.
Okay,
I think she's from Texas. But either way, they got a song called "Fly Away." She had a hit, I think, like in the early 2000s.
Okay.
And either way, it was my first time having an interview with him and him explaining or exposing that he's in a polygamy scenario.
Okay.
And it was a shocker for me because
you didn't see it coming.
I didn't know he was going. I didn't know.
Okay.
I had spoken to him. We've spoken about many things, but we never talked about his love life.
Right.
And then for him to explain how it works. And
now, can you explain how he broke it down to you? Because I've actually just had a conversation with a person that says they were in polygamy, but once I did a little more research on it, it was more an open relationship, and it's not the same. And then the reason why people tend to have polygamy relationships, they always have different factors. So how did he break his down?
Well, first thing that I can remember him saying was that he was with one of them, I want to say about 4 years.
Okay.
And they both decided they agreed to, because from my understanding, she brought this young lady to him or to the scenario.
Okay.
And they agreed to include her in their relationship. He talks about how, people can have a different type of bond with one person and have this bond with that person. And basically, who am I to say, because I'm your woman, that it's not okay for you to go out and have another relationship with this person or to have a connection with somebody else. Why would I shut that down for you? Kind of scenario. It's better if he explained it to you, but for me, from what I could tell, is that basically...
Did you respect it?
Oh, I respect anybody's wishes on whatever it is they desire.
Would you ever be in a polygamous relationship?
No.
Okay.
No. I feel like, me personally, I feel like this.
Okay, let me run the scenario down to you. You said when I asked about having more kids, you said I have to have a husband to even think about it, right?
Yeah.
So say you get a husband and you don't want to have any more kids, you shut down the baby factory. He wants to have children.
I'm not Tammy Roman, first of all. And I respect her love for the death. But I'm gonna be transparent from the beginning, and before we get married, we're gonna discuss and agree on whether we're gonna have more kids or not.
Okay.
And if you say we agree on no, and you pop up 15 years later and say you want a baby, then that's to me an issue, because we communicated about this, we were transparent about this.
We talked about this, yeah.
So
that's actually one of the issues.
That's how I feel about it.
Yeah. That's fair. Yeah. That's fair. So you said you mentioned that you had just came from a therapy session. So do you enjoy in-person sessions, over the phone sessions, Zooms, or do you have a preference?
Okay, so if I be honest, I actually prefer in-person sessions, because I'm not like the typical therapist. I like to meet my clients at the park. Okay. I like to do different things. We may shoot basketball and stuff or whatever. I like to do different things. Okay. Because I understand that the culture, that my primary base is African Americans. Okay. We don't want to sit down telling nobody all our business. We want it to be organic. Okay. And so that being said, it's difficult sometimes for that specific community to sit down and just talk to someone, because
of the stigma around muscle therapy.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
A lot of people don't.
How do you break that wall?
Well, I think I break the wall personally, because I make sure from the beginning that my clients understand. I call them my client friends. Okay. Because I tell them I could be in your seat. I relate. I get to their level, because, and I'm not saying they're beneath me, but I meet them where they are. Yeah. Because I feel like a lot of times therapists, politicians, whatever, they get in a position and they think that they're better because of a title. Mm-hmm. I'm no better than you. I've gone through things. I've experienced abuse. I've gone through all kind of things.
But I think that makes you a better therapist.
Yeah. So I think that's how I break the stigma, just being real.
What is the number one issue that you seem to run into with our community, besides actual going to a therapist, or the stigma of opening up that hinders us of opening up?
I would say one thing is us not understanding boundaries
with the therapist.
Yes.
So give an example.
I've ran into several scenarios, especially having male clients.
Oh, they're trying to holler at you.
Yeah. And so then I can't provide you the service that I want to provide, because it's now uncomfortable. Now I'm going to have to refer you out, because we're going to be in a session and I'm going to be worried about you looking at my boobs. I'm just being honest, you know.
That's real. That's real.
So to not understand the boundary of you've come to
do a lot of those clients that you run into that situation, do they have like relationship issues, sexual issues,
some
sex addicts or just okay? How many have you had that scenario?
I've had a couple
scenarios, more than two hands,
but not just men. I serve the LGBT community too. So yeah, I have had.
How does do they come right down and try to shoot the shot, or they kind of slide in? With
they slide little stuff in. I had one. I'm gonna say it as general as I can. Came across because I got a little bit of a small little fan base. Mm-hmm. So I guess one of my pictures from one of my book signings got surfaced some kind of way.
Okay.
And this is my Alabama. I'm gonna just say Alabama, one of my Alabama groups. And so saw a picture of me and was like, I was like, damn, that's my therapist. That what she looked like outside of a session.
Yeah.
And that's the type of stuff he was saying. I'm like, now come on now.
Yeah.
Come on. So now going forward.
Tell me about your mama, boy.
Now going forward when you get in a session, it's like it's weird because he'll make not now, but he would say little things and it would make me feel kind of like, are we gonna keep this boundary set, or are you gonna think that you can slide something in eventually?
Right.
Yeah.
That's difficult. That's difficult because you probably do you think they actually got the help at that point, or they kind of defeated the purpose of the session?
I think that sometimes it does defeat the purpose because now it's not something. Now you're not coming to therapy for help. Sometimes you're coming to therapy. Oh, I just want to look.
That's
and I pay for it.
I understand it. I understand that. I mean, it's the weird things I've seen men pay for, the weird stories I've heard men pay for. It's amazing, but to each his own. Me personally, I'm a big advocate for therapy because we were just talking about the episode I shot last night. It was we talk about the best reason for having a therapist is because they don't have any they don't need anything from you in your life. They don't have they're not trying to maintain a presence in your life like a family member or a person that you may outgrow once you get through your breakthrough. Or anything like that. So it only makes sense for you to have someone that you can open up to, be honest with, and then the judgment won't come from a place that you can be manipulated at later.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the main reasons I try to get all my family members to go to therapy if they can, because most of the times, well, I don't know if you see this, but a lot of people end up with coping mechanisms that are the most unhealthy.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And it's funny that it's good to hear. Not just a man, but a black man even acknowledge that and promote that, because it's a lot of people that look at it as you're a punk if you're going to a therapist, or you're weak if you're going to a therapist, or you know what I mean? It's not
absolutely. I definitely know what you're saying, and my counter to that is always, every time I've heard it, specifically when I talk to men about that, I say actually it's strong, it's strength.
Yeah, absolutely.
Confronting the person in the mirror, that's probably the most courageous thing a person can do. Because the majority of us, especially men, we hold on to our emotions, become passive aggressive, or we just blow up in another scenario on a person that has nothing to do with what actually that is at the core of our anger or our hurt. And even with that, it affects our relationships, the way we see ourselves, our potential or lack thereof, or lack of our drive. All that comes into play.
Absolutely, I agree.
And then you talk about people that get into drugs or drinking and stuff like that. They're just running from the problem and just making another one.
Absolutely, I agree with you.
How can we curtail that situation? Do you think we just got to start with the youth and make it more of a positive impact, or like a positive reinforcement with going to therapy?
Well, yes, but I think that we get so caught up in just focusing on the youth sometimes that we forget that there's still work we can do with the people that are not youth.
I'm glad you said that, because that's one of the things I've been dealing with even within my friend group and my network of people. It's like when we get to a certain age, people are like, oh, you should know better, you should do better, and then it's actually worse for, I would say mostly for men, because I think women naturally have a sisterhood in which you guys naturally talk more than men. It may not always be the most positive. I would say I know so. Okay. Women talk to other women more than men talk to other men about their issues.
Okay. I can agree with that.
Now the answers that you might get from your girlfriends instead of a therapist or like a licensed professional may not always be the most healthy, but you actually get something other than being inside your own head.
Yes.
Whereas men, we probably run into more toxic situations, or we create them by ourselves by holding on to our problems.
I agree.
And I think with most men, it's like the feeling of inadequacy, being unable to provide, or even the ability to cope with something that's old. We get so bombarded with all these feelings and emotions that we become, it's like paralysis by analysis. Mm-hmm. We can't get out of our own head. We start to ruminate over something over and over and over again, and we never heal.
I agree.
I mean, I could talk about therapy for a long time.
It's okay. It's okay.
I love the idea of it, because I love seeing people get growth and then break down all these walls that we put in place, and then the things that we so-called make us seem tough, and we get our breakthrough on the other side of it, being uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah. I think that the thing for me that I'm focused on now, which is why you've heard me say when my nonprofit, I'm now opening it up to all single parents. We're focused on single mothers at first and their kids. Yeah. Because I'm running into the issue of, and noticing that there's a lack of motivation, support, whether that's emotional, financial, whatever, for men.
Absolutely.
It bothers me because I have 2 sons I'm raising. Mm-hmm. So what message am I putting out that only women need help?
What made you think? What made you come to that conclusion?
I'm gonna tell you. I ran into, we're from Alabama. Mm-hmm. We've been here 2 years. Since I've been living here, I've actually ran into several men that are single parents.
Okay.
And it's not something that's familiar for me in Alabama.
Right.
And so I'm like, dog, these men are stepping up, And I'm also noticing that we're almost like conditioned to tear men down. So do one thing wrong, and I'm just being honest, black women, do one thing wrong, and we're going to,
throw the whole man away.
The whole thing, in the trash, burn them up. You know what I'm saying?
Got dark quick.
But I'm being honest, But I think my mind, I think that if maybe we change it and we do more positive reinforcement by saying, okay, maybe you did this wrong, and I may not want to be with you or deal with you, but this is what I think you can improve in. Mm-hmm. And even though you made this to say, I feel like as a woman, I should tell you, this is what I feel like you did great at, and this is what I think that you have potential to do better at. Okay. And leave it at that. But I think we leave it so negative, all of the scenarios. We don't have sources for them, resources for them. We don't have a platform where they feel comfortable to be able to come and talk.
Absolutely. And then what you already touched on, a lot of men feel ashamed when they get criticized. And I would just say, not just men, but people in general, the way you present the criticism will make it be, you make a situation where a person get defensive and then turn aggressive, or they won't even receive the message because they're just focused on the negativity or the presentation of the criticism.
Absolutely.
So I think a lot of times, even if you want something to change, if you really want change, you have to present it in a way where they can digest it.
Absolutely.
And
some people just not going to digest it.
Absolutely. But the person that wants the person to change, whether it's a partner, a friend, or just a colleague, a coworker, or anybody walk of life, the way you present it will also understand. I mean, when people take pictures of food all the time on dates, right? Now, they take pictures of the food because the presentation is nice. But if the food is good and it's on a bad plate and it's presented in a horrible way, everyone's going to look like, I want to go to that restaurant. Mm-hmm. But if it's average food in a nice looking place, they're going to be more receptive to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think advice and criticism, same way.
It is. Absolutely.
Now, how does one become better at giving criticism?
How does one become better at giving criticism? Just give it. I think that, and I say that, like, how do you become better at anything unless you practice it?
Yeah, but when I say that, so certain people only tell you the truth when they're drunk or when they're trying to win an argument and they try to pull the trump card of like, well, why?
Gotcha.
You understand what I'm saying?
So being more transparent up front from the beginning. And I tell people, I'm going to go to a topic of dating, for example.
Right.
A lot of people think I just give a little dose here, a little dose here. I'm the complete opposite. I want you to know all the nasty stuff right now.
Okay.
If you don't like it, I haven't wasted a year explaining who I am to you.
Yeah.
Go home. We don't have no emotional attachments.
Right.
We don't have no babies that slipped up. we don't have nothing.
Yeah.
So I think that
Have you always been like that?
Huh? Probably very close to it. Now I'm gonna say I started off at some point. I feel like I'm divorced.
Mm-hmm.
In my marriage, I feel like I was very guarded with my words because I was in an abusive marriage, and I think that at times I was afraid to say my piece.
Yeah.
So then coming out of that,
was it more abusive and physical? It was all physical. Okay.
It was both actually, but physical. But I fought back. Don't get it wrong. Now I ain't no one. You ain't gonna just be beating no man. We're gonna fight back now. But anyway, so but that being said, being pregnant at the time and just not feeling like I was strong enough. Feeling like I'm scared. I'm not gonna say it. I remember I wouldn't even say. I didn't even want to curse at the time. I say F-bomb, whatever. I won't do it, whatever. But the thing is, I think that it taught me that I don't want to reserve my words anymore. It was a gift and a curse though, because sometimes I
you overshare or
yes, I overshare. Sometimes I have to remind myself to ask, are you telling me this because you want to respond, or you just want to sit and listen?
That's the ability to read the room, and then sometimes you can't help it. Like even myself, I listen, but sometimes if you know the answer to the question, you just kind of want to help them out.
Yes,
because they could save so much time if you just give it to them straight.
But some people don't want it.
That's true.
They want to figure it out themselves.
That's true. I actually while we were talking about men and coming to grips of like things that we fall short in and different things we could be better at, right? I was just trying to have this conversation with a guy friend, and he was comparing himself to a scenario in which how I helped a woman versus I was trying to help him. I say this because I'm a man. I judge men more harshly because the amount of danger women could be in by being in the same scenario as a man is not the same. Like same thing with when the dog was outside. If you were a guy, I would laugh at you and just tell you he don't bite, he friendly. But with you, obviously, I'll come outside, make sure you get in the house right. So there's little things like that, the subtleties where I feel like there's differences, and I think men try to compare themselves to women in certain situations where it's beneficial to them, and then they try to hold women to the double standard of like trying to be equal.
Well, I think that if I be honest, it's become a time where what you just said is not even, it's almost unreal anymore.
What's that? Gender roles?
Yeah, because what I'm running into is that I'm gonna give you an example. Okay. I had I've been single about almost going on 5 years. Okay. And I think early on I went on a date with a guy. We had made it to the second date, and we was about to go to the third one. And I'm gonna tell you what the conversation was. First 2 dates he paid for. Mm-hmm. By the third date, it was, you think we can go Dutch? And so, okay.
All right.
So, although I'm actually the woman that don't mind that at times. Yeah. I don't mind. Mm-hmm. I understand that men, when dating, end up being responsible for everything. Mm-hmm. I understand that, and I also respect that, but don't ask me. Let me offer.
Right.
I'm that chick. I'm going to offer.
Would you consider yourself an old school traditional chick?
I think so.
Okay. So the reason why I made that noise is because I'm that guy.
Hold on. I think I just lied. I am, but at the same time, I think men think I'm not, and I'm going to say why.
Go ahead.
I'm a single mom, and I take care of everything. I'm on business, my own house, cars, whatever.
Right.
And so for a man, that's sort of intimidating for some men. Mm-hmm. And so I've been told, trying to date, well, if me and you got together, you want to stop doing some of that. Are you got to stop? Yeah.
In order to do what? Like what's the compromise?
To be more available for him.
Okay, so the only way I can say that's a reasonable demand is if he agrees to pay for everything, and then you guys get to the level in which like you guys become one, like your worlds become one. But to demand that in a dating situation, that's unrealistic.
And to me, and so back to the story, what happened? So the guy told me that I almost want to laugh.
Go for it.
He said he has no problem being like I guess it would be a house husband, not a housewife. House husband.
That's a thing.
And so that's a thing now.
Yeah.
And so that's why I
can
said
see myself being that though.
With the double standard, it's like men want to be.
Well, I haven't never met a man that wants to do that.
I know a lot of them.
Really?
I know more than I want, and everyone that I know is black. You know
the reason why I feel like I haven't run into that is because I heard something today. We always attract the opposite of what we project, and maybe because you project such strength and then so much independence, you will get that man that embodies that. Mm-hmm. Now, you said it intimidates a lot of men. Do you think? Let me see how I phrase this, because I don't want to turn this into a whole Kevin Samuels special.
That's fine. No. No. You good. You good.
So guys that find themselves being intimidated is because the amount of money you make, or the fact that you don't necessarily need them financially up front, but you also say you want a traditional man, right? Mm-hmm. So how do you find the balance of being submissive when you've been independent for so long?
They go that word again.
Well, submissive. So no, because it is an act of submission. So even the act of proposing to a woman. No, because submit. So the thing is, I feel like when it comes to adults, when you say, "What do you see when you look at this picture?" Everybody sees the same picture, but they define it in different ways.
Absolutely.
So when certain people say submissive, they think about it being like, you're going to do everything I say when I say how I do it, and I say jump, you're going to say how high. That's not necessarily what it is. Men and women are submissive to each other in a healthy relationship.
Thank you. That's what I was going to say.
Go ahead.
So with submission, I literally just talked about this on my last radio show. Mm-hmm. The young lady was talking about submission.
Okay.
And I told her, why is it that conversation is only about women? You know, why do we not talk about submission across the board when it comes? Because men submit to certain things too. Mm-hmm. It's like compromise. We also looked up the definition of submission, because I actually never looked up the definition, even though I know what it means. Mm-hmm. You know, which it was for someone to obey. It's something about obeying, being obedient. Yeah. Okay. And so I said, I don't know why when I hear the word obedient, it took me straight to being a kid. Almost like,
I thought you'd say kid or slavery.
Yeah. So, but what I will say to this is that, first of all, I'm the woman that will cook. Mm-hmm. I believe I clean the house. I don't expect my man to have to clean all the house. Mm-hmm. I do those things, even though I'm gonna still work. I work my butt off. Okay. Yeah. So, but I think that people assume based off of what they've gone through, maybe with other women, that automatically, because I got so much I've accomplished, that I'm gonna be just like the last woman, and automatically, because you got all these great things going on, mm-hmm. you'll be bitch. You gonna be a butthole. And it's not the truth. I believe that a woman can go after her dreams and her career, and that she shouldn't have to put her life on hold for a man, just like a man should have to put his life on hold. No one should have to put their life on hold for someone else at all. And both parties should support each other and compromise and submit to certain things, because I may have to submit to the fact that you want to live in the country and I want to live in the city, which I like the country life. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But I may have to submit to that. Mm-hmm. You may have to submit to the fact that, I don't like cats.
Yeah.
You might love cats. Yeah. I mean, I believe that people men, is what I hear more, and women, forget that goes across the board. So when I hear submission, why does that in the Kevin Samuels and all of them, they use that term like it's just about the woman submitting? I believe, yes, the woman should submit and the man, but it's more to me of compromise. I like the word compromise better than submit, because to me, it just seems like that word has been made negative, even though it's just a word.
Well, all the words have taken a negative connotation because we always see the most extreme examples of it online, mm-hmm. and then people run with that narrative. So even when you say submissive, that's worse than calling a woman a B word sometimes. and because the way it's being received or how it's being perceived or how it's been elaborated on in the past. The best conversation I ever had with a man, it was a married man. It was one of my friends actually in my age group. He told me about submission because he said submission for him was submitting to his wife as far as doing what he's supposed to do as a man and his husband duties. And I said, like, the act of submission, from a man's standpoint, it starts with the proposal. We get down on one knee. That's an act of submission. I'm submitting myself to you to offer myself to you. And
but what about the women that's getting on their knees now?
Yeah, I couldn't do that.
Yeah, me either. But I just,
get up. You're gonna put a crease in your shoe.
But a lot of men,
I couldn't accept it. I'll never be that guy.
Yeah,
I'll never be that guy. Like I'm very
traditional.
I'm traditional, but I understand modern ways. But at the same time, certain things won't be. I won't say necessarily won't be allowed. It's just I just won't order that off the menu because it's not for me. Absolutely. And that's just what it is with me.
I agree.
A lot of the problem I've run into that is when you put out a certain type of energy, people say they want that, and then they want to change you. Mm-hmm. If I say if it's a hard no for me, it's a hard no for a reason. Being out here in Atlanta, I've run into a lot of people that like to do sexual experiments. Mm-hmm. And it's like, if I say I don't want to do that, don't think you're gonna be the one to turn me on. It's gonna be fun for you. It's not a thing for me.
No.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, I'm with you on that. And now I haven't ran into much of that because I don't really. If I be honest, I haven't done very well with my dating life. I've acknowledged that I have had
same with me
to focus more on it. So, but
really?
I know what you're talking about. Oh yeah,
yeah.
I had to create a whole mindset for the dating life because I think I forgot about it for a little while. But I'll be honest. I think I did until my youngest son, not the one that's with me today, said to me, "Mom, you gonna be lonely." Because
I'm glad he said that.
He did. I don't know.
You get wrapped up in your life, and then also you've been a mother. You become, and I've seen this with a lot of parents. The children become their life, and then when they age out the house, you gotta reimagine yourself, or you gotta rebrand yourself, or rediscover who you are, like what you want to do, and like.
But I feel like I've been living my best life, like honestly.
Okay, so when he said that, did you think you were lonely, or you think you just weren't given that? Were you happy being alone, or were you lonely?
I don't think.
I turned into the therapist here.
Lord, when he said it, I think it was just because he noticed I hadn't been on a date for a long, long time.
Yeah.
But if I be honest, I am very open to my husband, wherever he coming from. Mm-hmm. But I'm not focused on it because I feel like we shouldn't focus on it. Mm-hmm. I feel like it should be organic. So, not saying that I'm not putting
but you have to make yourself available.
That's what. But I feel like I have. I feel like I have now opened up where I'm out. I go out to promote, so I'm out in a lounge at least once a week. Yeah. Not at the club really per se, but I'm at a lounge
put yourself in a place where you can be approached.
With people that are doing well, seem to be doing well, or at least stable. Yeah. So I think I put myself in positions where I network. Yeah. I go to other business events, support businesses and stuff like that. So I put myself out there in places. I try to make sure I look good wherever I go. So that being said, I want it to be organic. I've met people through those scenarios, not that necessarily went to romance, but I've met friends and things like that. Yeah. And I think that's what I do. Okay. I want it to be organic.
Joe made a show about nothing, and he's calling it a podcast.
What's up? All right, clap again.